Most of the friends I talk to, when you speak to them about games or movies that they knew about as a child, most of them, they'll bring up some of the old console games. However, I never owned a console as a kid, and all of the movies that we watched were Christian movies, so I don't share a lot of the same experiences as the other people did. I was homeschooled up till
Not
the
too
fourth grade
long ago,
and learned
Zoombinies
most of my
enjoyed the good
basics at
life.
home. For me, my nostalgia trip will consist of
Slightly
many
different,
games that
different eyes,
most people probably haven't heard of, but
such
I'd like to
differences
share them
are
with you guys
welcome
because
to the Zoombinies.
these were games that were an important part of my childhood and were the
And
fundamentals of my
so,
learning, at
happily
least.
on
The
Zoombini
first one we
Island,
got here is
small
Zoombinies
consumer products were
Logical
prized
Journey,
the world over.
and
The Zoombinies had a
it's a
sense of
basic game
fulfillment
about
and
matchmaking
innocence, not to mention
and
happy
matching. Yeah,
banquets.
we'll see. I'm gonna let you guys watch this
Then
beginning
one
part real quick
day,
before I continue
who
on.
should show up but the bloats? The bloats offered to help the Zoombinies grow their businesses, expand their trade routes, and improve their quality of life. Being trusting sorts, the Zoombinies agreed. But before long, the bloats had taken over everything, stealing profits, canceling holidays, piling on work. The Zoombinies were getting pretty stressed out. Well, you can push them only so far before they take matters into their own hands, so to speak. So they decided to escape and build a new home in a distant land.
Now perhaps
So
you're
the game
wondering
here
what
starts
all
off on
this
an
has
island
to
where
do
you
with
can select the traits of the Zoombinies. I, however, always prefer just to randomize it. If you saw there, you can actually put up to 2 of the same trait Zoombini into your ship. However, I considered this a very cheesy way to play, as the whole point of it is finding out the differences between them. And as we'll see here on this next area, you'll see that you're supposed to basically match certain traits to certain areas. So if you have 2 Zumbinis that are the exact same trait,
After days
it's a little bit cheaty because you don't have to figure out when one goes through, you know the other one will go through. Now, after we get through this passageway, we'll come upon the stone face bridges, which you can see that there's 2 of them. So we have to get all the Zumbinis to the other side. And as you can see, the stone face over here that we just put the Zumbini on his bridge, he was allergic to something on them. So we proceed to test by finding a similar featured Zumbini that has nothing else matching and putting it across. So first we did the green nose, and that didn't cause an allergic reaction. Second, we did the spring feet, which didn't cause a reaction. We had to cancel that Zumbini because it actually still had both the same eye and hair, so it wouldn't have narrowed anything down. However, the only thing that this Zumbini has in common with the other one is the hair. So now we know for sure that at least all of the hairstyle and the ponytail needs to go across to the other side.
You did it!
And with that,
You
it
saved
was
them
as simple as
all!
that. As you get farther on, you'll find that there's
We've
more
got
variation, more
visitors.
different things that they
Do we
dislike
let
or
'em
like,
in?
etc. The paths get harder the more often you do them. This one is just like the other path, except now there are 4 different pathways that the Zumbinis can go down. First, you've got to figure out what the guard
Well
dislikes,
done,
and then after you figure that out, you got to figure out what the top and bottom, the king and queen, dislike. However, sometimes you will just get a map like this one where the king doesn't accept anything, so then the queen accepts everything. It is a rare thing, but it happens now and then. This one is the first one you'll come through on the map that isn't based on the Zumbini's traits. This one is a simple, basically guessing game, and as you put toppings on the pizza, I always like to start with 2, just because he will give indicators of what he likes and dislikes in quantities of 2, as in, if he doesn't like just one thing on the pizza, he'll say, there's something on that I don't like. If you put 2 things on there that he didn't like, he'll go, ew, yuck! And then, obviously, as you saw just now, if you put 2 things on it that he likes, or sometimes it only needs 1 topping, sometimes it only needs 2 toppings. But when you find something that he likes, he'll go, more toppings, or he'll be like this. Yeah. This was an absolute necessity for games, obviously. And later on, the difficulty increase for that one will lead to there being 3, up to 3 different pizza lovers that you have to satisfy.
But when they're ready to move
When you get to this
on,
campfire,
they'll
you'll
need a
have the
group
choice of
16
going to the top path
along
or the bottom
path.
path, or you can go back and restart where you just were. We're going to proceed to the top path for now and keep pushing through, and we'll come back to the bottom path later and I'll show you what you got to do.
Now hurry yourselves up.
This one here is probably the simplest of all of the puzzles, because it's literally just you have to make sure each Zoombini has something matching with the one next to them. This next one here is the one that as a kid I remember disliking the most, as it's basically just you have to look at the symbol, color, or shape on the back of the frog and find a path that matches for it. And if the path is complete, the frog will make it to the other side, jump off into the water, and it'll come back for a second round. After the second round, it'll just swim off. However, if you were to put a frog on a path that wasn't complete, the Zoombini would get on it, and the frog would be stuck on that path, hopping back and forth, trying to find the way to go, and eventually you would have to go continue on without him because there was no way to get him off. This will be the last of the puzzles that you need for this part of the map, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You just put the Zoombinies with matching traits according to the symbols together, and you get to the next campsite.
Another relaxing campsite ready and waiting.
Now that
for
we've completed that
Zoombini.
pathway, we simply have to go down the final path here, which the first one is super self-explanatory. The symbols on the wall indicate what you need to do, which in this case was matching the nose color. So it was like green, blue, red, something like that, and you basically put all the green noses, then blue noses, then red noses. This one, there's mirror reflections on the other side, and you have to find one that matches one of your Zoombinis and put them together. And then once you do that, the crystal will raise and let them through. For this one, you need to... It's a puzzle, basically, that, depending on the trait, might get rejected one way, but then when you go over it with one Zoombini, it switches the direction, and so then a different Zoombini is allowed through. When we get to the end here, you're basically just supposed to fill up the population of Zoombinisville. Unfortunately, the disk file is corrupted, so you'll get to see a glimpse of it, but we won't be able to look around, and we won't actually be able to keep any of the Zoombinis here to then see the difference between after we've done it. Next, we're gonna do the bottom path just to show you what you need to do. It's pretty simple. It's the hats, hairs, noses, eyes, all that matches certain traits on the Zoombinis. So your goal is just to kind of figure it out and get the 3 that are on top of the branch off. I actually ended up doing the wrong one, and so I did lose one of the Zoombinis here. Unfortunate, but it happens a lot later on when you get to the harder difficulties as they start flipping the traits around. This one was just, you have to have a matching trait between them, and you have to figure out which trait has to match, and in this case it was the noses. This one is you take the shapes and colors and they indicate a column or row, and then you have to figure out which is which area. And once you've done that, hit it with the paintball, drop the boulders, and get them through it. That's the end of it. This is the entire map. We took the upper path, we took the lower path, and then we already saw the ending part. If you've played this game before, please let me know. Put a comment in the description below. Tell me which area is your favorite. If not, let me know what you think of the sad childhood I had. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and come back next time for another one. Stay creative.